What if I told you that 4 things in your bedroom are quietly sabotaging your peace, your focus, and even your future, and you walk past them every single night like they're harmless? By the end of this, you'll know exactly what they are, and why removing them might be the most powerful decision you make this year. Your bedroom is the last place your mind goes before sleep, and the first place it wakes up. That means whatever lives in that space is shaping your thoughts, your energy, and your direction, whether you realize it or not. And here's the truth most people miss. You don't need more motivation. You need fewer distractions. So let's talk about the 4 things you should never keep in your bedroom if you want peace, clarity, and purpose. Work stress doesn't just stay at the office. It follows you home, and if you let it live in your bedroom, it quietly takes over the one place that's meant to restore you. The moment your eyes land on a laptop, a stack of papers, or a list of unfinished tasks, your brain shifts into performance mode. It doesn't matter if you're exhausted. Your nervous system doesn't understand, "I'll do it tomorrow." It only understands signals. And those signals tell it that you are still on duty. So instead of slowing down, your mind starts racing. You lie in bed, but you're not really resting. You're replaying conversations, worrying about deadlines, planning responses, solving problems that can wait until daylight. Over time, this trains your body to associate your bedroom not with peace, but with pressure. Sleep is not just about closing your eyes. It's about letting your system fully power down. When work stress is present in your room, you never truly switch off. You might fall asleep, but it's shallow. You wake up feeling like you ran a marathon in your dreams. That's because your brain never felt safe enough to rest deeply. And when you don't rest deeply, you don't think clearly. You become more reactive, more emotional, less creative, and less patient. You start every day already behind. There's also something subtle that happens to your identity. When your bedroom becomes a workspace, you stop being a person in that space and start being a role. You're not just you anymore. You're the employee, the provider, the problem solver, the one who always has to be on. And when you never step out of that role, burnout isn't a possibility, it's a guarantee. You begin to lose your sense of self because your environment never lets you forget what you're responsible for instead of who you are. Your bedroom should be the one place where your worth is not tied to your output. It's where your mind should breathe, where your body should repair itself, where your emotional system should feel safe enough to let go. When work stress lives there, it steals that from you quietly, night after night. It doesn't announce itself. It just erodes your peace until you think feeling tense all the time is normal. And once that becomes normal, you forget what real rest even feels like. Keeping your phone on your pillow or right beside your head while you sleep is one of the most disruptive habits you can build without realizing it. That small glowing rectangle is not neutral. It's a portal to stimulation, comparison, urgency, and emotional noise. The second you touch it, your brain stops preparing for rest and starts preparing for reaction. Even if you tell yourself you're just checking one thing, your nervous system can't tell the difference between a quick scroll and a real threat. Every notification, every headline, every message is a signal that something needs your attention, and attention is the opposite of sleep. Your body has a natural rhythm that tells it when it's time to slow down. Darkness helps release melatonin, the hormone that makes you sleepy. Your phone interrupts that process with light that tricks your brain into thinking it's daytime. So instead of drifting into rest, your system stays alert. You might feel tired, but your mind stays wired. That's why people who scroll in bed often fall asleep late and wake up exhausted. Their bodies never fully entered the state where real recovery happens. There's also an emotional cost. The content you consume right before sleep sinks deeper into your subconscious than you think. If the last thing you see is someone else's highlight reel, bad news, arguments, or unrealistic standards, your mind carries that into your dreams and your mood the next day. You wake up already tense, already comparing, already behind, not because your life is worse, but because your mind was fed stress instead of stillness. When your phone is on your pillow, it also trains you to avoid silence. You stop being comfortable with your own thoughts. You don't let your mind settle naturally. You numb it with input. Over time, that weakens your ability to be present, to reflect, and to emotionally regulate. Your bedroom should be a place where your system learns how to be quiet again, where your mind remembers how to rest without being entertained. Emotional baggage in your bedroom is anything that quietly reopens wounds instead of allowing them to heal. It's the old photos that bring back pain instead of joy, the gifts from someone who broke your heart, the letters, messages, or objects tied to versions of your life that no longer fit who you are. Every time your eyes land on those things, your nervous system reacts before you even consciously think about it. Your body remembers what your mind is trying to move on from, and that keeps you emotionally stuck. Your bedroom is where your mind processes your life. It's where you replay memories, imagine the future, and talk to yourself in the quiet. When painful reminders live in that space, your inner dialogue gets pulled backward. Instead of thinking about what's next, you're reliving what hurt. And the problem isn't the memory itself. The problem is that it shows up when your guard is down, when you're vulnerable, tired, and open. That's when old emotions have the most power over you. Healing requires safety. Your nervous system needs to feel that the danger is over. But if your room is filled with symbols of rejection, loss, betrayal, or regret, your body never fully gets that message. It stays in low-level defense mode. You might function during the day, but at night, when everything slows down, those emotions come back louder. That's why people often feel sadder or more anxious in bed than anywhere else. Their environment is telling their mind to reopen stories that should be closing. There's also an identity layer to this. When you keep emotional baggage around you, you keep living with proof of who you used to be, the version of you that was hurt, confused, or unchosen. And that makes it harder to step into the version of you that's strong, clear, and moving forward. Your space should reflect who you are becoming, not who you survived being. Your bedroom should support your healing, not constantly interrupt it with echoes of the past. Clutter in your bedroom is not just about mess. It's about unfinished business that your mind is forced to look at every day. Every random pile, every broken item, every stack of things you might deal with later is a visual reminder that something in your life is unresolved. Your brain is wired to seek completion, so when it sees clutter, it doesn't relax. It scans, it stays alert, it stays slightly tense. Even if you think you're used to it, your nervous system never fully adapts. It just learns to live in a low-grade state of stress. Your bedroom is supposed to be a place where your mind slows down, but clutter speeds it up. It creates visual noise, and visual noise becomes mental noise. Instead of your thoughts flowing easily, they bump into distractions. You lie in bed trying to rest, but your eyes keep catching on things that don't belong, things that feel out of order. That sense of disorder quietly tells your brain that something isn't right, that you're not done, that you're behind. Over time, this makes it harder to feel calm, focused, and in control. Clutter also affects how you see yourself. When your space is chaotic, your mind starts to internalize that chaos. You feel scattered, you feel disorganized, you feel like your life is heavier than it needs to be. And the truth is, a lot of that weight isn't emotional, it's environmental. It's the constant background signal of too much that your room is sending you. There's also an energy cost to decision making. Every object in your room asks a question: keep or toss, use or ignore, fix or forget. When there are too many objects, your brain gets tired before the day even starts. You wake up already mentally taxed. A clear space gives you a clear start. It gives your mind fewer things to manage and more space to breathe. Your bedroom should make you feel lighter, not surrounded by reminders of everything you haven't handled yet. If this is already hitting home, pause for 1 second and ask yourself, what's in my room right now that doesn't belong in my future? And if you're ready to upgrade your environment, your energy, and your mindset, stay with me. What you surround yourself with while you sleep is quietly shaping the person you are becoming. Your environment is not passive. It is constantly training your habits, your beliefs, and your emotional responses. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems, and your bedroom is one of the most powerful systems in your life. It's where your day ends and where your next one begins. The cues in that space tell your brain what kind of life you're living and what kind of future you're moving toward. If your room is filled with distractions, stress, noise, and reminders of things you're avoiding, your mind learns to live in reaction mode. You wake up already behind, already tense, already scattered, not because anything terrible happened overnight, but because your environment trained your nervous system to expect chaos instead of clarity. Over time, that expectation becomes your personality. You become someone who feels rushed, overwhelmed, and disconnected from their own direction. Your environment also shapes your self-respect. When you sleep in a space that feels intentional, clean, calm, and aligned with who you want to be, your brain receives a different message. It says, I matter, my peace matters, my future matters. That changes how you move through the world. You make better choices because you see yourself as someone worth protecting. You stop settling for things that drain you because your space reminds you that you're building something. There's a psychological principle called priming. Whatever you're exposed to most often becomes the lens through which you see your life. If your bedroom primes you with stress, comparison, clutter, and emotional weight, you carry that lens into your relationships, your work, and your decisions. You interpret neutral situations as threats. You doubt yourself more easily. You hesitate when you should act. But if your bedroom primes you with calm, order, and purpose, you start your day with a different internal posture. You're clearer, more grounded, more intentional. Your future is built in small, invisible ways. Not in big motivational speeches, but in the quiet moments when no one is watching. In the space where you think, rest, and reset. Your bedroom is not just where you sleep. It's where your mind rehearses the kind of life you believe you're allowed to have. The quality of that space becomes the quality of your expectations, your habits, and your direction. The room you wake up in every morning is teaching you what to accept, what to tolerate, and what to reach for next. Your bedroom should be the one place in your life where your system gets permission to stop performing. All day long, you're managing impressions, solving problems, meeting expectations, and holding yourself together. That takes energy. Real recovery only happens when your mind and body feel safe enough to let go. Your bedroom is meant to be that signal. It should tell your nervous system, you don't have to prove anything here. When that signal is missing, you never truly reset. You just pause before the next round of effort. Restoration isn't just physical, It's emotional and mental. Your brain needs a space where it doesn't have to stay alert. If your room is filled with reminders of pressure, conflict, unfinished tasks, or comparison, your system stays in protection mode. Even if you lie still, you're not resting, you're bracing. And bracing looks like shallow breathing, tense muscles, and racing thoughts. Over time, that becomes your baseline state. You start to feel tired even when you've technically slept. A restorative bedroom supports your clarity. When your mind isn't cluttered with stress signals, it can process your life properly. You wake up with perspective instead of panic. You respond instead of react. You make decisions from intention instead of impulse. But when your room is full of emotional noise, your brain spends the night sorting chaos instead of integrating wisdom. That leaves you foggy and reactive the next day. There's also a spiritual and identity layer to this. When your bedroom restores you, it reminds you who you are beneath your roles. Not the worker, not the fixer, not the one who always has to be strong, just you. A human being who deserves peace without earning it. That's where your intuition gets louder and your fear gets quieter. If your room feels heavy, you start to feel heavy. If your room feels calm, you start to feel calm. Your environment teaches your nervous system what normal feels like. A bedroom that restores you trains your body to recognize safety, your mind to recognize stillness, and your heart to recognize peace. That's not luxury. That's alignment. Small changes in your space create massive changes in your behavior because your brain is constantly responding to cues in your environment. You don't act based on who you want to be. You act based on what's easiest in the moment, and your surroundings decide what feels easy. If your room makes distraction effortless and discipline difficult, your habits will follow that path every time. But when your space makes good behavior the default, you stop relying on willpower and start relying on design. Your environment works like a silent coach. It nudges you in certain directions without you noticing. A phone within reach of your bed nudges you toward scrolling. A messy floor nudges you toward procrastination. A chair covered in clothes nudges you toward avoidance. But a clear nightstand nudges you toward stillness. A book in place of your phone nudges you toward reflection. A made bed nudges you toward order. These aren't dramatic shifts, but they're consistent ones. And consistency is what shapes identity. Behavior change feels hard when you try to do it from motivation alone. Motivation is emotional. It comes and goes. But your environment is always there. It's either supporting your growth or resisting it. When you change your space, you change what you're repeatedly exposed to. That exposure becomes your new normal, and whatever feels normal starts to feel natural. This is why people often feel different after cleaning, rearranging, or simplifying a room. It's not just aesthetic, it's psychological. You've removed friction from the behaviors you want and added friction to the ones you don't. You don't have to fight yourself as much anymore. You've set yourself up to succeed quietly. Your habits are not random. They're shaped by what's around you. If you want to change how you act, how you think, and how you feel, start with what you see when you wake up and what you touch before you go to sleep. The smallest shift in your environment can redirect the entire flow of your day. And when your days change, your life follows. Removing the wrong things from your life is often more powerful than adding the right ones because subtraction creates space, and space is where change actually happens. Most people think growth is about piling on more habits, more tools, more routines, more information. But when your life is already full, adding more just creates pressure. You become busy without becoming better. You stay overwhelmed while trying to improve. Real transformation begins when you stop carrying what no longer serves you. Every unnecessary object, habit, and commitment drains a little bit of your attention, and attention is your most valuable resource. When it's scattered, your energy is scattered. You might feel like you're doing a lot, but you're not moving forward. You're just maintaining clutter in your schedule, your space, and your mind. When you remove what's wrong for you, your focus comes back. Your mind gets quieter, your decisions get clearer. There's also an emotional shift that happens when you let go. Keeping things that don't fit your life anymore sends a message that you're afraid to change. Letting go sends a message that you trust yourself to move forward. That builds confidence, not the loud kind, the calm kind, the kind that comes from knowing you don't need to cling to the past to survive the future. Subtraction also sharpens your priorities. When there's less noise, what matters stands out. You stop confusing urgency with importance. You stop reacting to everything and start choosing what deserves your energy. And choice is power. You can't choose well when your life is crowded with distractions and obligations that don't align with who you are anymore. Growth doesn't always look like building. Sometimes it looks like clearing space, clearing habits, clearing emotional weight. When you remove what drains you, what feeds you finally has room to work. That's how alignment happens, not by adding more, but by making space for what actually belongs. Your bedroom is not just a place where your body sleeps. It's where your mind is being trained. Night after night, your space is teaching you what to tolerate, what to focus on, and what kind of life you believe you deserve. The 4 things we talked about don't just take up physical room, they take up mental and emotional space. And when your space is heavy, your future feels heavy too. But the moment you start removing what doesn't belong, stress, distraction, emotional weight, and clutter, something shifts. You don't just get a cleaner room, you get a clearer mind, you get deeper rest, you get stronger direction, and you start waking up as someone who feels lighter, calmer, and more in control of where they're going. So tonight, don't just go to bed. Reset your environment, because when your space changes, your standards change. And when your standards change, your life follows.